Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. I think we are at the wider PTU candidate stage for Alpha 3.24. Now, I've actually thought that for a while, but I now put money on it that we'll have the patch to first wave PTU, if not more, by this weekend. That isn't a confirmation. CIG are mysterious at times, but actually, the patch feels a lot further along than that. It feels like it's much further into a PTU phase already. And that's because CIG have been trying to deal with some major blockers with that patch that basically meant that pushing it beyond Evocati, pushing it to a wider audience, would not have been useful for test data, but they've still been fixing a load of other problems, bugs, and that sort of stuff. The patch is still being tested, it's just on a smaller audience. So why is it taken so long? Well, they had to refactor and update the whole cargo system, which touches on a load of other systems. They basically are overhauling the inventory system, so there's no more global inventory. They've physicalized cargo. They've changed the way that buying and selling works. There's manual loading and unloading of your cargo. And they've had to get this all ready for server meshing and 4.0 as well. But there's been some expected and unexpected side effects of them putting all these systems in, and CIG have had to fix them because, well, there's no point in releasing a incredibly broken patch to live. That's why they've kept it in Evocati for so long, because, well, there was no point in releasing it to wider PTU when stuff was unstable or the stuff they wanted to test was just broken or not ready to test. Over the last week, there have been a load of Evocati patches, a lot of them fixing a lot of those major blockers that were preventing it from going to wider PTU. On the 26th of July, they had a patch that fixed a load of bugs, but also they are tweaking the cargo auto-loading timers for loading and unloading because they want to get that right, and there's more to come with that as well. Obviously, that will be tested a lot with a wider audience once we have a wider audience. Talking about wide, ultra-wide UI scaling was tweaked, so it's now based on grid sizes on height, not width, and relative to a 16:9 aspect ratio. But yeah, they fixed a load of bugs and some of the blockers with that as well. And then on the 30th of July, we had them having another patch, which was incredibly unstable. It got taken down very quickly, but it did fix some bugs and had more ultra-wide UI updates so that markers and icons would now be affected by ultra-wide sort of scaling that they were going to be doing. Now, that patch, yeah, was pretty broken, unfortunately. But then, yesterday, 31st of July, they put another patch out, which greatly improved stability and fixed a ton of bugs. They also did a full balance pass for automatic cargo loading prices and loading times based on SCU container sizes. They greatly increased the anvil, hurricane nose, and body joint health. This patch also made various improvements to the shard stow flow, which I believe was one of the remaining blockers preventing it from going to Wave 1 PTU. One of the major problems that sort of the patch had been having was that there were incredibly low frame rates, performance issues, servers unstable and crashing, and there was delay, and you'd be interacting with a button and nothing was happening. There's problems with the message queue and stuff like this. Now, one of the major issues with all of this, that's sort of tying it together, was people having too many items, or the sort of shard or the replication layer having to go, well, this person's got tons and tons of items that they're trying to spawn, or they've got tons and tons of items in a database, and this was causing loads of knock-on effects. So some of the stuff they've been trying to fix in the tech preview build with some updated network messaging tech. But other bits and bobs as well for this patch, they've been trying to sort of optimize getting the replication layer and the shard in good order so that it can communicate unimpeded a lot better. So there's less of bottlenecks, there's less of issues with interaction delays and delays caused by people with loads of items and doing that stuff. And in fact, with this patch, frame rates are up too for I believe lots and lots of people. Cargo for missions is a lot less fiddly as well, so you can actually split it more easily to deliver it over multiple sort of ships, because previously with mission cargo you couldn't split it properly, which was a shame if you wanted to deliver it with mates. Now, the build is not perfect by any means. It still has bugs. It still has stuff that Cloud Imperium are trying to work through. But I don't think it has any real major blockers that would prevent it going to a wider PTU now. There's a lot they can test now that doesn't make them just go, oh, well, there's no point in testing it yet. However, because it's been an Evocati actively for several weeks, it's got a lot less issues than you might expect. It feels like it's had some of those major issues sort of ironed out already. That's not to say that the PTU phase isn't necessary, but more that it's further along than you might expect because of that. Also, they have yet to run the dynamic event, the blockade runner stuff, so I believe there's a whole set of cargo commodity rebalances that they want to do with the wider audience as well to get the economy in a reasonable state for when the patch goes live. Do also want to state that I have a good record when it comes to being lucky when I test Evocati patches. I think I test at a time where there's not that many people online. It's sort of relatively early morning in the UK time, and that does seem that there are less people online, which means the servers are potentially in a better state and there's less stuff that can go wrong, I suppose. So bear that in mind from my sort of experience of playing in the Evocati, because I suspect there's some Evocati players there going, this is the most unstable build I've ever had, or something like that, which potentially for them it could be. But I'm pretty sure that this is certainly the best it's been for me for 3.24 so far. I also think there is going to be a wipe with this patch now. Previously, Cloud Imperium had said, look, there probably won't be a wipe unless we need to do one. But for me, with the sort of inventory hangar, ownership changes, all this stuff that they're doing, and some of the problems they've had, it looks like the updates are too big for there not to be a wipe, in my opinion, because you're going to sort of choose the location of your hangar, your home base, all your stuff gets effectively delivered there, and then is going to be obtainable in that freight elevator. I think they're having to do some database optimization stuff as well. So also I'm expecting that CIG are going to try and get this patch out if possible, and feel free to disagree with me in the comments below, before the free fly in August. So there's a free fly for the ship showdown on the 23rd of August. I think if possible and sensible, they're going to try and get it out for that free fly, right? Now, it might be like that's not viable, or CIG might already be going, well, we'll do it after the free fly, so we actually have a stable build up for the free fly. But I think in a perfect world, they'll be trying to get it out for just before the free fly, right? But we'll have to wait and see. That, as I said, I think the patch is quite far along for even if it was in PTU already. But have any of the delays for 3.24 affected the 4.0 patch? Is something actually I get asked regularly. In my opinion, only minimally, if at all. CIG are still plodding along with 4.0. They've been testing bits for it in the tech preview build. So also, any delay is kind of necessary because they need all this new cargo stuff working for server meshing anyway. But there's no hard dates on 4.0. We know it's going to be sometime in the next few months. Should be before the end of the year, most likely around CitizenCon time. Hopefully 3.24 will come in the next few weeks and will tide us over until 4.0. But yeah, I just wanted to do a little ramble video talking about why 3.24 has taken a while, a lot longer than I expected, but it does feel further along than you would expect for a PTU sort of patch already, even though it's an Evocati, and I don't think it's going to be too long before live, but we will have to wait and see. That's the problem, but I do think there's going to be a wipe. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Have you been participating in the Evocati for 3.24? What do you think of this last build? What do you think of the sort of patches building up to that? When do you think it's going to go live? When do you think it's going to go to wider PTU? 4.0, are you actually excited for that? Do you think it's going to be in our hands before or at CitizenCon in the sort of 19th, 20th of October? Or do you think it's going to be much later, much earlier? Whatever your thoughts or questions, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. And if for some reason it's gone to first wave PTU by the time you see this video, well, you monsters, CIG, how dare you? I'm just terrible at the timing, it seems.